We had this almost adventure-like, idyllic childhood growing up in the country, where we had a lot more freedoms than you'd have in this day and age. So we basically just chose to do what we liked when we liked, outside of school and sport, and we were just involved in all those things you did at the time that you aren't necessarily able to do in this day and age, and such things like we had horses, for example. So if you want to go horse riding, you just go horse riding this afternoon. We had guns, we had dams, we had racehorses, we had any number of things that you wouldn't believe. We had access to cars before licences were a thing that you had to worry about. And so we had an idyllic time. Now that continued even on after I'd gone to boarding school and used to come home on holidays and things. I still had the same set of friends. So that whole thing developed from very early days when you did those sort of things till we grew into early adulthood. But one of the ramifications of that was this, and I'll try to outline an image of this. For example, as a 14-year-old with my friends Haystack and Goat, we were out rabbit shooting one day when we were wagging school, and Goat happened to, I think he was 15 at the time, owned an FC Holden Ute, and we'd gone out rabbit shooting in a forest at the back of Forbes in central west New South Wales, and we'd done particularly well on that day. The reason we used to go rabbit shooting was because first they were in plague proportions, and secondly we were paid for their pelts, which enabled us to make a certain amount of money. On one particular occasion, Haystack had this situation where he shot himself through the finger with a .22 caliber rifle, and it was an amazing experience to go from the situation of seeing people being shot in movies and in artificial situations, someone actually being shot as you were there, and how you go about dealing with it. He shot himself in the finger. That had a lot of ramifications for us. We had a lot of explaining to do as to why we were out shooting on a school day for a start, why we were out with a car without any registration. Obviously shooting rabbits was understandable. We had the ramifications of having to go and get medical help for him. There's always experiences of firearms. I mean, it would be very hard for the modern day youth to imagine that it was a regular occurrence that we'd go out and play cowboys and Indians as young boys under the age of 12 and use what they used to know as slug guns, or the Americans called pea rifles, and we'd actually shoot each other with these things and aim to shoot each other. I mean, the fact we've all got our eyes and other senses is just a miracle more than anything. It's just luck more than anything, because these things can be quite lethal in their own way. I mean, they're quite capable of ruining someone's eyesight. And we used to go out and play cowboys and Indians in the bush and try to shoot each other. It even got a bit more serious some number of years after that, but I do remember on a few occasions going out and playing cowboys and Indians using .22 caliber rifles to try and shoot each other. All I can say is, having been shot by a slug gun, that I'm glad I was never shot by a .22 caliber rifle, as was Haystack when he was shot in the finger when we were out rabbit shooting. I was at a circumstance that occurred once where I saw the danger of just using blank ammunition and what could actually happen. A fellow student of mine, not a close fellow student, but certainly someone who was put near me in mock war games, going back there in the very, very early 70s, using blank ammunition with a .303 rifle, shot himself in the foot, and half his foot disappeared. I realise now how lethal those .303 rifles are, particularly even with blank ammunition. I obviously now don't think they're a marvellous thing. I think they're just something which is used with aggression, and a very dangerous thing. Various events in Australia's history since the 1970s to the present have proven me to be correct in that regard, and various and very common events that occur in the United States of America have proven that my attitude towards firearms and things is correct, and I think we're better off without them. And nothing's changed in that regard.